Hey everyone, OmniSkeptic here. I'm a map maker, and together with another map maker, HyperONE, we've put together a brief little overview of some of the things that are buzzing in StarCraft 2 ladder map design. The Team Liquid map contest guys have been working with ESL to standardize what is allowed and not allowed in future maps. Now that we have a somewhat official rulebook for map making, the powers that be have liberalized some previously restrictive rules, giving us new tools and features to play with. First up, Zaga healing shrines. After being in the editor for years, this baby's finally being allowed through. The Zaga healing shrine will periodically heal the life points of all units standing on it by 10 HP. These healing shrines offer players an additional reason to be out on the map, and Brood War players will recognize the importance of providing opportunities for smaller armies to trade more cost effectively against larger ones. We're excited to see how mapmakers combine this tool with other mechanics. Healing shrines like this one may have an air blocker, but there are other opportunities for combination, like placing a healing shrine within an inhibitor zone. Please keep in mind that nothing in this video is final, and we are not Blizzard, ESL, TLMC, or the Balance Council. We're only reporting on changes to the TLMC rules. This other major feature goes beyond just TLMC rules, and although it hasn't yet been confirmed, TLMC is apparently in talks with ESL about it, and that's worker-only paths. I'm calling them WOPs. They're pretty self-explanatory. WOPs are paths that workers can traverse that other units cannot. There's a lot of room for creativity with this feature. A more basic example is a WOP behind a mineral line connecting two bases, offering a safe way to pull probes that are cut off from reinforcements without running through enemy units. WOPs also allow the construction of pseudo-island bases. This map is Pacific Rim by Patches. Us mapmakers know how much everybody hates taking island bases, because it's a hassle to micromanage workers in order to manually drop them over at an island. Not all of us have floating command centers, or recall, and even when we do, it's not optimal. With WOPs, islands are much more accessible and fun to fight over. This map is Seaside Colony by HyperONE. It's just about the closest thing you can get to an island map. But whereas a regular island map would make expansion difficult and scouting your opponent's build straight up impossible, WOPs make this kind of map a little more reasonable. Seaside has an example of a creative usage of WOPs that lead to nowhere, offering a temporary safe refuge for probes, at least from a few types of ground units. If your opponent's nearby, they're not coming out until you can free them. In Legacy, natural bases need exactly one opening of a certain size, so Protoss can wall against a 12-pooling Zerg, which limits third base placement. Blocking additional openings with rocks deter the defending player from taking an expansion in that direction. We can allow workers through early on using a mineral wall like New Humanity did, but the downside of mineral walls is the opponent can't break them, even in the late game, which means if the base isn't taken, the map starts to get more turtley. WOPs might allow more entrances to the natural, and therefore possible expansion patterns. We're running short on time, so we just want to make sure we mention a few minor changes. First, we can now lower the HP of rocks and structures at the start of the game. Is it a stupid bootleg method of doing so in the editor? Well, Artosis would say it's still stupid if it works, so that's up to you. But this will make blocking some paths more reasonable, especially for Zerg who have a really tough time getting through 2000 HP rocks with 3 armor in the early game. Second, we've now got permission to use neutral unit structures. This is mainly used by Zerg structures, which lose HP when off creep, allowing us to block paths or bases for just the first few minutes of a game. A cool usage I came across recently is blocking an extra Reaper jump ledge with an off creep spire. For the last mention of the day, I am truly ecstatic to announce we've been permitted to change resource counts on Vespene geysers. Previously, we were allowed to modify mineral layouts. However, we were not allowed to adjust Vespene geysers, which discouraged us from modifying minerals as the standard minerals to gas ratio on the map would be off, which could encourage more passive playstyles. It also limited the versatility of rich gas geysers, since we couldn't reduce the amount of total rich gas you would ultimately receive. And that's it. That's all we wanted to show you today. Big thanks to HyperONE and Patches for making this little presentation possible. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoy the rest of StarCon 2023. I, for one, will see you on ladder in the next TVT.